Hey guys, welcome back to our last session of Engage. Last story, I want to dive back in again to the idea of the methods of Jesus, how Jesus went about ministry. And we're going to look at another story, and I know this is going to reinforce and really help some of the things that we've talked about. So, John chapter 8, verse 1. Jesus returned to the Mount of Olives, but early the next morning he was back at the temple. A crowd soon gathered, and he sat down and taught them. As he was speaking in front of the whole crowd, check that out, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. But the law of Moses says that we should stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something that they could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Then he stooped down and wrote in the dust again. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" And she said, "No, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." What a great story. I love that story. The Pharisees, they want to capture Jesus, right? And here was their plan. They knew that the law of Moses, an ancient law that the Jewish people followed, was that if you're caught in adultery, you'd be stoned, right, to death, beaten with big stones to death. So, but the Romans were the only ones that could officially sanction a capital punishment. Adultery in Rome was not a capital punishment offense. In fact, really, Bible scholars teach us that in this time it wasn't, under the law of Moses, it wasn't either anymore. That had kind of gone away. But the Pharisees, what they're trying to do is they're trying to trap Jesus, because if he says, no, she shouldn't be stoned, then he's disagreeing with the law of Moses, which will prove that he's a false prophet. But at the same time, if he says, yes, she should be stoned, then he's defying Rome, which they could then go and tell the Romans, hey, this guy's defying you. So they were trying to catch him in a conundrum. The other thing too is they had no interest in any kind of justice, these Pharisee guys. They weren't concerned at all with truly dealing with the crime and with the infringement in that culture. So we know this because where's the guy? If she was caught in the act of adultery, they just grabbed the girl and the guy's not even there. So he's off. Who knows who it was, but he's off and gone. He's got away scot-free. They drag her out with no intention of justice, no intention of upholding the Mosaic law. Their only intention was to trap Jesus. And I think that actually, in that culture, to be outed for an adulteress, it's still not a great look in today's age, but in that culture, it was mortifying. And we don't know why she was in that situation. We don't know why she found herself living that lifestyle, making those decisions. But what we do know was that wasn't her finest moment. Standing in front of that crowd, humiliated, and being just used as a pawn in their political game to trap Jesus was so humiliating and so degrading and so just soul-destroying. And you could say, well, she deserved it. She committed adultery. She was cheating on a married couple. And I think that's the beauty of the gospel. The gospel shows mercy. Yes, if she was caught in the act of adultery, there should have been judgment pronounced. But Jesus chose to hold back judgment, mercy, which is what she deserved. And instead, he gave her grace. She didn't deserve to be defended. She didn't deserve for him to have her back. She didn't deserve for him to go into bat for her. She didn't deserve to get rid of all of her accusers. She didn't deserve to be shown dignity and respect and honor in that culture. She didn't deserve any of those things. She deserved to be judged. Jesus withholds judgment, which is mercy, mercy is withholding something that someone deserves, and he gave her grace, giving her something that she doesn't deserve, defending her, honoring her, esteeming her. And I love this story because this is exactly what God has done for us. He has held back what we deserved, which was judgment. Because of our sin, we've all sinned, fallen short of how good we need to be to connect with God. and he gives us grace, what we don't deserve, which is removing our sin and bringing us back into relationship with him. I think this is a beautiful story, and I think it's also a great snapshot of how when we, on our mission to rescue people, withhold judgment and show mercy, despite, even if we think they deserve it, and we give grace and give things to people that they don't deserve, that is when God can truly go to work and change a human soul. That is when God, the power of the gospel, can be working amazingly. We talk about this. I'm going to go over it again real quick. We talk about you belong before you believe and before you behave or before you become. And the idea is that you come in all your brokenness. You're welcome here. You're accepted. You belong as part of our church community. We're going to accept you. And then in time, we believe that you will start to be impacted by the power of the gospel. And on your faith journey, you'll cross the line of faith and say, you know what, I'm going to surrender my life to Jesus. We see this happen all the time at our church here in Vegas and in Newcastle. We see it happen all the time. And then in time, when you learn God's principles, then you start to behave the way that God wants you to, which will lead you to a better life. And Jesus actually sums up this principle. He starts with mercy, moves into grace, and then finally, he gives her next steps. He reminds her of the right way to live. He gives her the rules to live by. Churches get it messed up when they start with the rules, and they wonder why people don't respond to the gospel, because people don't respond to judgment. Hey, you're not good enough. I know. I know I'm failing. That's why I need rescuing. And so the rules come when the life has been impacted. That philosophy, that model is absolutely transformative. So let's remember, belong, believe, behave. You belong, you're welcome. In time, we believe that the power of the gospel will transform you. And then in time, we will see the principles of God go to work in your life. So you change the decisions you make and the way you live your life. This has been an awesome time. I'm excited. We're going to be I want to encourage you to check out our spiritual gifts session. Spiritual gifts are a powerful thing given to us by God. And I know that when you understand the spiritual gifts that God has given you, it is one of the most wonderful way for you to engage in serving him and serving others using the things that God has made you especially good at. So check that out and thank you for taking this engaged journey with me, and I'm excited to hear the stories that come about because of the work that you're doing to introduce people to Jesus and help them follow him. God bless.